I know we're all gagged by the recent release of Beyonce's 8th studio album, Cowboy Carter, but I personally wanted to go back down memory lane and revisit Beyonce's debut solo album titled Dangerously in Love. By the way, guys, please don't mind the way I sound. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I might sound a little croaky here and there, but I'm still going to give you all that you need to know about this era. Okay, so let's take it back to where it all started. Prior to the release of Beyonce's debut solo album, she was obviously working hard as ever. She was doing multiple things before this album's release. She starred in the Austin Powers film and she'd released a song called Work It Out for the soundtrack. She was also in Fighting Temptations, which she also added to the soundtrack with her own song. I Know He Still Loves Me had the black community in a chokehold when that song was released, when that song came out, when the film came out. Everyone was gagged, everyone was hooked. I think people even thought that Beyonce was gonna become like a gospel artist at some point. As soon as she filmed Fighting Temptations and had the song He Still Loves Me, everybody was gagged. Like, everyone was waiting for Beyonce to drop a gospel album. She would do nothing of the sort for the next 20 plus years. Nevertheless, it was evident that Beyonce was working hard to officially launch her solo career in the best way possible, and she did that with the chart-topping amazing album that is Dangerously in Love. Released on the 23rd of June 2003, Dangerously in Love is an R&B record with elements of soul, hip-hop, and Arabic music. Singles on this album include Crazy in Love, Baby Boy, Naughty Girl, and Me, Myself and I. 2003, Beyonce describes this record as a nice mixture of different types of tracks, which I think is very fair and a very accurate description when it comes to this album. As well as co-writing most of the songs on this album, Beyonce really took her executive producer role very, very seriously. She was sharing her ideas, her thoughts with other producers and collaborators. She was mastering and mixing and really taking a hands-on approach for her first debut solo album. And I just love that about her. It's just shown that she's been consistent throughout her entire career when it comes to being so hands-on with her art and her music. Beyonce was very discreet and very private about her relationship with Jay-Z, so she didn't outrightly say that the songs on this album were about him, but we have sense. We can definitely see that she was alluding to her intimate relationship with Jay-Z on this album. It was just very interesting and mysterious and cool and exciting for fans to hear this. When this came out, I was 4, so I didn't hear it upon release, but I would have heard it a few years later and I loved it. Till this day, I'm still obsessed with That's How You Like It. Like, that is one of my most played songs ever. That's one of my favourite Beyonce and Jay-Z collabs, but I digress. Stay tuned for part 2. Upon its release, Dangerously in Love debuted atop the Billboard 200, and it's no surprise that this album sold 317,000 copies in its first week. This made Beyonce the first female artist ever and the 5th artist to simultaneously top both the singles chart and albums chart in the UK and the US. I'm shocked. I'm not, but I am. This isn't her debut solo era. Remember that, guys. To promote the album, Beyonce did a very traditional album rollout. She did interviews, performances. She did her first solo concert covering all the songs on the album, and it was also a TV special. She was on radio stations. She was everywhere. She did televised performances on shows such as The Today Show, SNL, and many more. I really, really do love that we're somewhat getting this style back when it comes to Beyonce, particularly in the Renaissance era and the Cowboy Carter era as we're seeing now. Beyonce has started to kind of like, I don't know, be a bit more outside. Like, we are seeing Beyonce go back to her roots and doing performances, doing meet and greets, taking pictures, signing autographs, like doing premieres and showing up. Like, we're seeing Beyonce outside. We're not just seeing her like once in a blue moon anymore, and I really love that. I don't know if it's an effect of the post-pandemic era, but I'm here for it and I hope it stays for a while, or at least until she finishes up her next album. Beyonce was not shying away from anything that was going to give her album and her record and her self-exposure. She was doing magazine covers, interviews, TV appearances. I really love this magazine cover that she did for Elle in 2003. I think it's such a beautiful editorial shoot, and yeah, I'm going to show you guys a few more pictures from this shoot because I think it's stunning. See what I mean? Like, she just looks so playful and young and so excited about growing her career, and I don't know, I really love the way this dress is fitting her in this picture. You can just tell with these photo shoots, like with these pictures, Beyonce meant business. Like, she was not messing around with her career. But yeah, in this era, Beyonce essentially became the most marketable artist ever, or one of the most marketable artists ever. Stay tuned for part 3. Amongst numerous awards, accolades and achievements in the Dangerously in Love era, Beyonce attended the 46th annual Grammys in 2004. She took home not 1, not 2, but 5 awards for Dangerously in Love, including Best Contemporary R&B Album. But can we talk about the dress though? Or should I wait to get into that later? I'm going to come back to this dress when I talk about her visuals and aesthetics for this era. But this dress, stunning, beautiful gowns, like she looks insane. Don't come at me for the quality, guys. This was 2000s. This was 2003. This is the aesthetic. But to further promote her album, Beyonce went on her first solo concert tour, which was titled the Dangerously in Love Tour. Prior to researching for this era, I was not aware that Beyonce didn't do a world tour for this album. She only toured in Europe, which I was pleasantly surprised to find out about. I mean, Europe. She chose us. She chose the UK. She chose Europe over everywhere else. It's crazy. We were definitely privileged to have been able to experience Beyonce's first ever solo concert tour. Like, I don't think it gets any better than that. I don't think Beyonce would ever just only solo tour in Europe now, but you know, it's cute. It was cute while it lasted. But yeah, she only did about 10 shows for this tour. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she didn't do that many shows for this tour, obviously, because she wasn't going to many cities. She was only going to a couple cities in Europe. But for Wembley, when she performed in London at Wembley Arena, Beyonce filmed the entire performance and she released it on DVD. What a privilege. And I thought I wouldn't be able to watch it. Little did I know, the whole thing is uploaded on YouTube. So if you're anything like me and are interested in watching Beyonce's performances from when she was in her debut era, go and type in Dangerously in Love Tour and you'll see the entire hour-long show concert of her first ever solo concert tour. And it is stunning. It is beautiful. When I was researching, I found that one journalist in particular, who shall not be named, gave Beyonce's concert a 2-star rating, a 2-star review. Sorry? Does that even make sense? Beyonce and a low star rating. That does not go together. That does not even make sense. But anyway, she didn't get a lot of praise for this tour, which is, I'm not expecting her to be getting the most acclaim because it's obviously her first solo concert tour, but this was a really good minimal tour. She did what she could with what she had, the facilities, choreography, the lighting, the staging that she had, and she killed it. I mean, some people have a lot of things going on in their performances and they don't, you know, produce the same vocals or the same choreography as Beyonce, so please miss me with that 2-star review. I don't know why I'm getting heated over a 2-star review of Beyonce's concert, because this was literally over 20 something years ago. I wasn't even talking when this was even being reviewed, so I don't know why I'm getting heated about it. My voice is getting worse and worse with each video, so I have a cold. I do not normally sound like this. Anyway, stay tuned for part 4. Now let's finally get into the visuals and aesthetics for the Dangerously in Love era, and let's start with her iconic incredible, stunning, beautiful, artistic, creative album cover. This image alone has become such a staple in pop culture. It's become such a symbol of Beyonce's iconography. Is that even a word? I don't know. I think I might have made it up, or it might be a real word. I don't know. But like, this image, it just symbolizes Beyonce's excellence. I feel like you see this image even before Beyonce is the Beyonce that we know today. Photographed by Marcus Klinko, I think that's how you say it. He even said as soon as he captured this picture, he knew that Beyonce was an icon. She was about to become a superstar. You don't take a picture like this of just a nobody. You take a picture like this of someone who's about to make their mark in history. Like, I was here, like, word to Beyonce. But she already knew. She already knew. I love this picture. I love it so much. Her album cover was so, like, rich looking. She looks expensive. Like, I love the fact that she's just dripping in these beautiful crystal diamonds, and she's just like staring into our souls like, I'm here. It's really hard to describe how iconic this picture is and how it just can never be done again. Or can it? In 2021, Beyonce recreated her iconic Dangerously in Love album cover for Harper's Bazaar, and she just is the epitome of grace and excellence. She looks just as gorgeous as she did 20 plus years ago, and I just love that you can see the maturity in her eyes and her face and in her body, but you still get the same essence of the same Beyonce that we were first introduced to in 2003 in her solo debut era. Fun fact, Beyonce actually requested that Marcus Klinko, the photographer, put her in a diamond top. She wanted like a diamante theme for her album cover, which was inspired by Marcus's previous work in her campaign. I just really love that. That's a little fun fact, that Beyonce was still being Beyonce, still being hands-on and creative even in her album covers, because I feel like a lot of people who don't know Beyonce's work or follow Beyonce's work intently knows how much effort, how much time, how much she makes sure that she is in every room when it comes to her work, even if it's just a picture, even if it's just her outfits. I think Beyonce is very intentional with everything, and I just love how she was the one that made the creative decision for it to be like this diamante, this expensive looking album cover, and she did an amazing job with it, because there's not that many album covers that are as good as this. There's a lot of great album covers, but this one, it takes the cake for me. Also, if you didn't know, this exact top that Beyonce is wearing in her album cover is displayed in the 2020 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame exhibition that is dedicated to Beyonce. Stay tuned for part 5. The overall aesthetics for the Dangerously in Love era was very much giving old Hollywood glamour type of vibe. I feel like Beyonce was just exuding a classy movie star energy, like a classic movie star from the 90s or early 2000s. It was very glamour, old Hollywood, very just expensive and beautiful. I also really love how all the colors in her music videos, the lighting are very consistent with the songs on this album. I have synesthesia, so I really do envision some of these colors when Beyonce is singing the songs on this album, and I feel like they're very cohesive. The album overall is cohesive, but when you can see that visually, it is very, very pleasing to the eye. I just feel like overall with her aesthetics for this era, Beyonce had a vision and she committed to it wholeheartedly. She thought about it, she wrote it down, she spoke to people, she collaborated. Bish, bash, bosh, she made it work. She made it happen. It's no surprise that Beyonce won the Innovator Award, because since the start of her career, she has been making moves, making waves, coming up with cool concepts and ideas for her art and her work. And obviously, as we can see today in 2024, it has definitely paid off. Now let's get into her actual style of clothing and what she was wearing during this era. I really loved her style. I feel like it was a mix of old Hollywood glamour and a bit of ghetto fab. It was 2003, so the outfits were very bold, eclectic, but still very striking and like memorable. And I would say a lot of outfits that Beyonce was wearing during this time, everyone would love to be wearing today. This one wasn't particularly my favorite, but I hope you get the gist. This was at New York Fashion Week, I think, but I still love the vibe. It's very eclectic, very bold, very 2003, and I don't know, I feel like the cool top with the jeans combo, I don't know, I think that's cool. Maybe minus the jacket, or maybe Beyonce should have just had the pink jacket and the jeans instead of the top in the middle. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but yeah, this one wasn't my favorite in this era. Oh, this look was so cute. It's giving proper church girl. This was at the premiere of the Fighting Temptations film, and she just looks stunning in my opinion. She looks very much like a sophisticated church girl. Like, there's nothing else to say. She looks beautiful. This one I absolutely love. I think it was Armani, or I think it was Armani, this dress, but she looked absolutely stunning. I think it was like some sort of award dinner party thing that she was attending. I feel like the dress complements her so well. The colors bring out her skin and her hair. 10 10 10 across the board. This is giving me more of an 80s vibe, but again, she's going for a bold, kind of colourful, playful look, and I just think it's just so youthful and fun. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like she was having a really good time and a fun time with her fashion in this era. She was really enjoying experimenting with different styles and colours, and I just love that for young Beyonce. I really do. Oh my gosh, this one is very similar to the Grammys dress that she wore. I think it's stunning. I feel like this color looks so good on Beyonce. I don't know, I feel like an olive dress and her blonde hair, it just gives. It's so beautiful on her. See, again with the gold. Oh my gosh, I don't know if it was Miss Tina or an actual stylist styling her during this era. Could have been a bit of both, but I really love this gold dress on her as well. Again, it's a more classy old Hollywood glamour type of vibe, and I really like it. And back to this one, my absolute favorite dress that she wore during this era. Again, it's like a olivey goldy color, and it just looks so good on her, and she just is giving ethereal beauty goddess. No, goddess. It's giving goddess energy. Yes, it is. It's giving that. Oh my gosh, in this picture, she looks like she's going to prom. She looks so cute. I love it. Just filming this video and reflecting on this album, it's just crazy to think that a lot of us have never known life without Beyonce music. I know that I'm getting a bit deep here, but roll with me for a second. Some of us have never even gone a day without listening to her music, but I've always known Beyonce in my life as a constant. That's why her music adds so much to our lives and enriches our lives so much, and that's why she is so important to a lot of us, because her music has been a constant, like a consistent thing in our lives. And how crazy is it to think that 20 plus years later, she is still doing an amazing job, and to think that one day she will retire. And when that day comes, what are we going to do? What are we actually going to do? I'm not even going to think negatively like that. Like, that is a crazy thought. Like, I'm sorry I brought that to your attention. But in the meantime, I think it's just important for us to like reminisce about some of the artists and the music and the songs that have inspired us and that have been a soundtrack to our lives. And I don't know, just have a little moment of gratitude for the music that you listen to, because music really impacts you. Like, I don't even know I'm getting so deep right now, but music it's literally speaks to the soul. So yeah, I don't know, just make sure you listen to music and artists that enrich your life and songs that speak to you and move you. Overall, Beyonce made such an incredible mark with her debut album. The world had no choice but to pay attention to her. Dangerously in Love was a complete success despite a few leaks earlier on. That did not stop Beyonce. This album has gone down in history. This album still inspires artists today. Let's just keep celebrating Beyonce's artistry. Let's just keep celebrating music. Prior to the release of her sophomore album, Beyonce had just finished wrapping up filming Dreamgirls, her first real attempt at acting in a serious role. And she had also finished working on her final album with Destiny's Child. So it's safe to say that Beyonce was fully in her creative bag and she was working hard as ever. Despite her management advising her to take a break and go on vacation, relax, like you have been working hard, it's time for you to relax now, Beyonce. Did Beyonce listen? No, she did not. She was right back in the studio working on her sophomore album, which we now know as B-Day. Beyonce is so funny. Like, I was watching her interview during this era and she was like, I was just itching to get back in the studio because for like half the year, for 6 months, she was in character playing Dina and she wasn't focusing on the music that she wanted to put out. So she was itching to get into the studio because that's what she loves. And I just think that's so sweet that she can't even take a vacation off of music, off of her art, because she loves it that much. Beyonce's second studio album was released on the 4th of September 2006 to coincide with the Queen's 25th birthday. How iconic. Like, Beyonce turning 25 births an album. Like, does it get any more iconic than that? Like, what was I doing at 25? I just turned 25. I am not bringing out an album. I am not doing anything revolutionary. But Beyonce decides to gift us B-Day. Her frontal lobe had just fully developed and she was like, what am I going to do? Give the world this gift that is B-Day. B-Day is widely considered an R&B record, but it's so much more than that. It has so many different sounds and elements to it, like hip-hop sounds, 70s and 80s funk, baldry influences, pop, like a bunch of stuff, and it mixes a lot of live instruments as well. The songs and the sounds on this album, the music in general is incredible. Fun fact, if you didn't know, a lot of the songs on B-Day are actually inspired by Beyonce's character that she played on Dreamgirls, Dina. A lot of the songs are about female empowerment, feminism, self-improvement, and those are just some of the things that her character went through in Dreamgirls. So that's a fun little fact if you didn't know. Hitting the ground running with Dangerously in Love, Beyonce knew she had to raise the bar with her second solo studio album, and that she did. In fact, to be quite specific, Beyonce did that in just over 2 weeks. She recorded B-Day in just over 2 weeks when she was supposed to be on vacation. Yeah. I needed to have a moment of silence for that because that fact alone blows my mind. Like, Ring the Alarm, Listen, Upgrade You, those songs were completed in that time frame. What? As it probably comes to no surprise, B-Day debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 upon its release, and it sold more than 540,000 copies in its first week. But it doesn't stop there. The success does not stop there. Her single Irreplaceable spent 10 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. 10 weeks charting on the Billboard Hot 100 on her sophomore album. She was just getting it started. Like, she was just getting started. To promote this album, Beyonce did an impressive album rollout. She did everything from print interviews to photo shoots to TV interviews to live performances, one which we are about to revisit, you know, the iconic live BT performance that she did in this era. Exceptional. But she was working overtime to get her album out and heard and sold. And as mentioned before, with the way this album charted, the way her single was charting for 10 weeks straight, The album was doing pretty well, so all of her hard work was not going unnoticed. Beyonce was really reaping the rewards of her hard work. At the 2006 BET Awards, Beyonce performed her duet Deja Vu with Jay-Z, and she gave a show-stopping performance. Till this day, I feel like people reference this performance when they want to talk about how well Beyonce just rocks the stage. This performance is where she truly showed us that she is that girl. Like, she's not going anywhere. Her vocals, her choreography, her outfit. This outfit is so iconic. So iconic. We're going to revisit this. At the 2007 Grammys, Beyonce took home the Best Contemporary R&B Album Award for B-Day, and she just looks stunning in this picture. She looked absolutely gorgeous. Imagine just turning 25, releasing a bomb-ass album, and then winning a Grammy for that said bomb-ass album. Like, her year was going so unbelievably. She was living the dream, honestly. Like, working hard as ever, but also reaping the rewards in such an iconic way. 25 never looked so good. Just when you think Beyonce had achieved an insane amount during this era, or by her age in general, she was yet to receive the World Music Award by Michael Jackson himself. Like, Michael Jackson himself, like, the Michael Jackson co-signing Beyonce at just 25 years old and saying, yeah, girl, you're it. You're the superstar. Now it makes so much more sense why there's so many like comparisons with Beyonce and Michael Jackson. Not to compare their artistry or anything, but just to compare their levels of success and superstardom. And yeah, this comparison makes sense because Michael Jackson himself co-signed Beyonce at such an early start in her career. She was just 2 years into her solo career and she was already getting co-signed by the king of pop. Like, it does not get any more iconic than that. B-Day was a highly successful era. Just 7 months after the release of B-Day, Beyonce put out her video anthology album as well as her deluxe version for B-Day, and the video anthology album featured 13 music videos, and the videos are just so incredible, just stunning scenes. A true visual representation of Beyonce's artistry. And B-Day is highly considered Beyonce's first attempt at a visual album, and it kind of is because of all the music videos for this record. The best thing about Beyonce's video anthology album is that she was very heavily involved in choreographing the videos, planning the outfits, doing the hairstyles. To further promote her album, Beyonce embarked on her first extended solo tour. So this was not her first ever solo tour. Obviously, as we know, in Dangerously in Love era, Beyonce toured only in Europe. But this time, Beyonce took it around the world. For this album, Beyonce toured in North America, Asia, Africa, Europe, and Oceania. So she was not leaving anybody out this time. I really love the name and the overall aesthetic for this tour. Like, it's just stunning. Like, the Beyonce experience. Like, how iconic is that? Beyonce's name is just so legendary that she can put out self-titled albums, she can put out a self-titled kind of tour name, and it just eats, you know? There's not many names that would fit very well with like the experience live. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine, like, okay, I'm not going to say any names of any pop stars, but just think of any pop stars today and put their name in the middle of like the experience live. Like, will it give as much? I don't think so, but it's Beyonce, so it gives to the highest of giving. For this tour, Beyonce was not playing around. She held auditions for an all-female band. She looked for keyboard players, guitarists, drummers, horn players, so many more, just to name a few, from all across the world to help deliver the Beyonce experience to the highest degree. Like, she was so intentional, and I love how she did an all-female band to really hone in on the theme of like feminism and female empowerment that was just running rampant throughout this album. Beyonce later released the Beyonce Experience Live as an album, as a DVD as well, so that fans could really watch and experience her show, her tour again and again. And I just think we need to bring this back, you know? Like, I want to see Renaissance live album and on DVD. I know we don't use DVDs anymore, but let's bring them back. I want physical copies of my faves artistry, you know? This tour was just bigger and better than ever. She had like musical elements. She also featured like a Dream Girl segment, the all-female band, but she had like a mix of genders when she was doing her choreography. Like, it was just a big show. She really did her big one with this tour. Stay tuned for part 4 or 5, I can't remember. The costume design for this tour was absolutely insane. Like, she looked stunning in every costume that she wore. She wore a plethora of designers on this tour, and let me name a few, ranging from Armani, Versace, Elie Saab, to her own brand with her mum, House of Derion. Like, Beyonce was wearing so many different cool costumes and just a plethora of beautiful gowns. Like, it was beautiful, very like spectacular and very, very glamorous. I love this dress. I love this one. She would change up her hair now and again with each show as well. If this picture, this image alone doesn't give superstar, you can just tell Beyonce was feeling herself in this dress. Like, this gown is stunning and it sits so well on her body. The lights, the speckles of like fire, it's giving superstar. Like, there's no other words. I also really love this segment in her tour where she's like wrapped in angel wings and then she just reveals this stunning gown. Like, I love the attention to detail. I really love this fit as well. Her stomach in the 2000s was just something so iconic. Like, her stomach alone was just instantly recognizable. Everyone wanted to achieve a stomach and abs like Beyonce in the 2000s. I did say I was going to revisit this iconic costume for this iconic performance that Beyonce had at the BET Awards in 2006. This costume was just so perfect and fitting for this performance. It sat on her so well when she was dancing. It fit her body right. The silver just brought out her skin tone even more. Her hair, everything was gorgeous. Like, it was stunning. And I think that added detail of like the pain, is it pain? I think, I don't know, like the added detail of like the glitter on her body just adds that extra pizzazz and like special, I don't know, that special detail that you just would always get in Beyonce costumes in the 2000s. And yes, if you're wondering, this costume was designed by Miss Tina Knowles herself. Fun fact, for the Freakum Dress music video, Miss Tina Knowles designed more than 30 dresses for this video, and Beyonce only wore 8 and the rest were worn by the dancers. This era, gosh, Beyonce and Miss Tina Knowles must have not been sleeping at all, because how was she balancing everything? Like, Beyonce just finished Dreamgirls, finished the Destiny's Child album, working on this album rollout, touring, doing House of Derion with her mom, and then Miss Tina was doing House of Derion, doing so many other designs. Like, I don't know how they were both sleeping during this time. Like, they were working overtime, but the results, the art, the gifts that we were given because of their hard work, I will forever be grateful. I absolutely loved Beyonce's style during this era. I feel like she wore so many beautiful gowns and dresses, including this one that she wore at the 2007 Grammys when she collected her award for B-Day. She just looked so stunning and sweet, and I feel like the champagne colour really goes well with her skin tone. She also wore a lot of like mermaid dresses in this era. This silhouette on Beyonce is stunning, like perfect fit for her curves. Like, The colors as well, like the popping emerald greens, the blues, like she was looking very expensive in this era. But I also love that she toned it down and sported House of Darion. Like I love the fact that she was consistently working and promoting her brand. I loved this outfit. I really love House of Darion clothes. I wish it would make a comeback. Let me know if you guys would be interested in me talking about House of Darion, but I really love how cozy and glam but cute and stylish the clothes in this brand looked. Brown and gold just screams 2000s to me, and I love every part of it. Also, this iconic 1960s hairstyle that she sports throughout her whole cover art on this album is just gorgeous to me. I think it suits her face so well, and I wish she'd wear a hairstyle like this again. Like that would bring back so much nostalgia. Overall, Beyonce just killed it in every way possible, any way that you can imagine, any category. Beyonce just killed it during this era. I feel like B-Day is such a special era because it's almost like the world really started understanding how strong Beyonce's work ethic is and how much she will do just to make sure that her art goes the way that she intends it to be received. Her legendary status was brewing. Welcome to Beyonce's Sasha Fierce era. With the success of her preceding album, B-Day, a newlywed Beyonce drops her third studio album, I Am Sasha Fierce, and formally introduces the world to her iconic alter ego. I Am Sasha Fierce was released on the 12th of November 2008, and it's formatted as a double album, so the first disc showcases slow, mid-tempo, pop and R&B ballads. And the second disc, being Sasha Fierce, has more up-tempo beats, Europop, dance pop sounds. The album debuted at number 1, selling 482,000 copies in its first week. One of the lead singles from the album, Single Ladies, became a global phenomenon. You could not escape the choreography of Single Ladies. The dance craze was insane. It grew so much popularity that in 2009, Single Ladies became the 7th best-selling digital single globally. This album has sold 10 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling albums of the 21st century. It was with this album that Beyonce made history, garnering 7 Grammy nominations for I Am Sasha Fierce and winning 6 of them, and making her the most awarded female artist in one night. What? 7 Grammy nominations and she wins 6 of them? That is insane. To support and promote the album, Beyonce embarked on the I Am World Tour, and in total she completed 110 shows. Fun fact, although the song Halo was always intended for Beyonce, the singer Leona Lewis actually recorded a demo for it due to Beyonce's busy schedule. There's actually a little bit of backstory to Beyonce's vision for the black and white imagery during this whole era. It was in 2021 that Beyonce revealed the reason why she actually had black and white photography throughout all of her music videos and artwork and promotion was due to someone on her team doing a survey, finding out that her fans didn't like black and white photography, and Beyonce didn't like that. And being the Virgo that she is, she was like, no, I'm gonna have the whole thing black and white. And she was right to ignore that person and listen to her own creative instincts and go with what she wanted, because this album ended up being one of her best-selling albums upon receiving so many other accolades. In a past interview, Beyonce described Sasha Fierce to only come out when she's on stage. She was quoted saying that Sasha Fierce is a fun, sexy and high fashion personality. In part 2, I'll be discussing her visuals, aesthetics and tour looks. Welcome to part 2 of the Sasha Fierce era. During this era, Beyonce was wearing a lot of simplistic tones, dark colours, simple outfits to showcase her I Am side. And then she'd have her futuristic Thierry Mugler outfits to showcase her Sasha Fierce. I know alter egos aren't really like much of a thing anymore, but I really love how she committed to it completely for the whole era. Like, she was sporting different looks to showcase which one was Sasha Fierce and which one was Beyonce. Like, in her day-to-day, she would wear outfits like this, like pretty casual, simplistic, nothing too crazy. So here's an outfit that I would say is completely Sasha Fierce. The hair, the eye makeup, and even though the outfit is pretty simplistic, you can see in the detail of like the hem, I think that's what it's called, the hem, it is a bit like, I don't know, sequiny, geometric. It's giving Sasha Fierce. There's so many looks during this era where you can vividly tell which one is Sasha Fierce and which one's just Beyonce, because her team would make sure to add in those little touches and details to make sure that people knew which one was which. Like, for example, this is a photo shoot and Beyonce has her Sasha Fierce eye makeup, so it's not Beyonce, it's Sasha Fierce. It wouldn't just be makeup, it would be hair, accessories. Do you guys remember the bionic hand? That iconic bionic hand. I'm gonna get a picture up. This bionic hand was always in her music videos, sometimes on live performances. It was just always there, and it's Sasha Fierce. Let's talk about the I Am World Tour outfits, because they were some of the best outfits that Beyonce's ever worn on tour ever. Thierry Mugler was the main costume designer and creative advisor for the I Am World Tour. Beyonce's smize is so strong in this picture, but this outfit, impeccable, absolutely impeccable. I love it. Alongside working with Chris March, Mugler used the words feminine, free, fierce, and warrior as inspiration for the tour looks. Oh my gosh, this one. In my opinion, this is 100% Beyonce's best fashion era. Like, the tour looks were insane. Mugler wasn't just in charge of the outfits, he was also in charge of the lighting, the choreography, the production. Like, he was working. The looks were just so detailed and so futuristic. His eye for fashion was everything. When I was researching for this video, I found that a lot of people don't really rate this album and era as much. Personally, I feel like this era was definitely important for Beyonce's career, as it was a seamless transition from young Beyonce to grown Beyonce. Some even say it was in this era that Beyonce grew mega stardom. I don't care if it's mainstream, I personally love this era and album. Welcome to the importance of Beyonce's Four era. After the commercial success of her third studio album, Beyonce took a year hiatus to recover, to refocus, and get ready to record her next hit album. Before the release of Four, there were a lot of major changes going on in Beyonce's personal life. After being overwhelmed and exhausted with the previous era, I Am Sasha Fierce, Beyonce decided to cut professional ties with her father and become her own manager with her own record label, which we know today as Parkwood Entertainment. A couple months after that major announcement, on the 24th of June 2011, in the height of EDM and pop music, Beyonce drops her fourth studio album, Four, an R&B and soul record. With Four, Beyonce took an intimate and personal approach, and the album shares themes of love, self-reflection, female empowerment, just to name a few. Unfortunately, Four was leaked prior to its release, but despite this, the album debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts and sold 310,000 copies in its first week. And though this is a very impressive number, this was Beyonce's lowest opening in sales. Four gave us international hits like Run the World, Countdown, Love on Top. It was at the 2011 Billboard Music Awards where Beyonce performed her hit song Run the World, and she gave an incredible performance, like one for the books. Plus, she was also being honored with the Artist of the Millennium Award, so she was not coming to play games with this performance, guys. She killed it, like the staging, the visuals, the dancers, like Beyonce was Beyonceing. Like, this performance was so iconic and is still iconic. With this performance, Beyonce proved once again that she is an unstoppable performer. She was pregnant with Blue Ivy in this performance, guys. Just watch back this performance and you will realize how much energy, how much like effort she put into this, and the fact that she was pregnant is absolutely insane. 12-year-old me could barely do the Run the World choreography, never mind doing a performance whilst pregnant like this. Beyonce amazes me every single time. She actually amazes me. Beyonce was extremely busy. She was doing photo shoots, she was doing interviews, she was doing music videos, she was doing video shoots, she was doing performances. Like, she was so busy. I can't imagine how crazy her schedule was. Welcome to part 2 of the importance of Beyonce's fall era. It was also in this era that Beyonce blessed the UK when she headlined Glastonbury Festival, becoming the first woman in 20 years to headline this festival. And let me just say, this was a huge deal for the UK. She was all over the papers, like it was a televised performance. Everyone was obsessed and in awe of Beyonce. Another wild performance that Beyonce gave us in this era was her 2011 VMA performance when she mic dropped and announced her pregnancy on live television. I remember watching this and just being so in awe of Beyonce's vocals and just her energy that she brought to this performance. And then she just drops the mic and just shows off her bump. Like, the world really stopped for a second. This performance was so iconic and such a staple moment in pop culture history that I genuinely can't remember anything else that happened at the VMAs that year. Like, when I think 2011 VMAs, I think Beyonce, Love on Top, pregnancy. I don't know what else happened. Like, my brain can't compute it. It just can't. By the way, guys, I didn't mention this before, but at this point, Sasha Fierce is dead. Like, she doesn't exist anymore. This is just Beyonce. Fun fact, before the release of 4, Beyonce recorded 60 songs for a Fela Kuti inspired album. To promote the album, Beyonce released the Year of 4 documentary on YouTube to show her fans the journey to creating 4. And this documentary really helps you understand Beyonce's creative process and like artistic mind and all her ideas behind this album. I might be biased because this is my favorite Beyonce album, but I don't think this album is appreciated enough, let alone the era. Like, I don't really care too much about like the sales and the numbers and that stuff, but this album was a very important album for Beyonce's career. And just because it may not have been a hit in general public, and I say that lightly because it definitely was successful, but it might not have got as much radio play as previous albums. With the experimenting of genres and mixing with different sounds, it was very clear that Beyonce reached a new level of artistry. In part 3, we're going to look at Beyonce's style and aesthetic and the visuals for this era. And at this point, Sasha Fierce is dead, like I said, so her style slightly changes. Welcome to part 3 of the importance of Beyonce's 4 era. If you didn't know, Beyonce didn't tour for the 4 album, and it's not a surprise because she was pretty overwhelmed and overworked from her previous album, so it's no surprise she didn't tour. But despite this, Beyonce still gave us some pretty cool and amazing looks, whether it was on stage or on a carpet. Let's have a moment of appreciation for her Emilio Pucci dress at the 2011 Met Gala. This outfit is absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and the theme of gold and black is very prominent during this era and it sets the precedent for her style and a lot of looks that she wears on stage and in her music videos. Much like the album, Beyonce's style remained pretty consistent throughout. Here she's sporting her curly blonde afro and a crochet mini dress. I think it's crochet, I'm not too sure, but again, it's giving gold and black. This black and gold gown featuring bump is just so adorable and just highlights her hair and her beautiful skin. Again, she's wearing black. Like, this era, Beyonce consistently wore a lot of black and gold. This was another look featuring bump, and I think this one is definitely giving me like mum-to-be vibes, and I feel like it's not as fashionable now, like an outfit like this, but I think it's very beautiful. Like, I love the yellow and the sequins, and again, she just looks beautiful as ever. I feel like in her previous era, the focus was on like Sasha Fierce and the crazy difference between Sasha Fierce and Beyonce, whereas this one is just Beyonce entering motherhood, very simplistic, very womanly, and just, I don't know, classy and beautiful. And I feel like this sense of style is a great representation of her growth in her artistry and in her personal life. When Beyonce released Four, this was a time where radio hits were bigger than ever, and it almost felt like everyone was competing to get the most played song or the biggest song of the year. And like Beyonce mentioned in her Life is But a Dream documentary, it just felt like nobody was making albums anymore. Four really completes Beyonce's whole discography. Like without it, I don't think we'd get like her self-titled and Lemonade, because it really laid the groundworks for her future albums. Other than the fact that this album was a soundtrack for my formative years, Four is a daring, innovative and liberating masterpiece. And I honestly feel like this album helped solidify Beyonce as a living legend. The year is 2013 and there's been a lot going on. After the Four era came to a close, Beyonce gave birth to Blue Ivy, and then it was announced that she was headlining the 2013 Super Bowl halftime show, and then she announced her world tour, the Mrs. Carter Show. At this point in her career, Beyonce was a 16-time Grammy Award winner with countless achievements and accomplishments, so everyone was like, what is Beyonce going to do next? There were so many rumors and speculations of Beyonce's next album, new singles, whatever, but nothing could prepare us for what Beyonce was about to put out next. In the early hours of December 13th, 2013, Beyonce surprise dropped her 5th studio album titled Beyonce with no promotion or no announcement. Beyonce gave us 14 songs and 17 music videos. The album shares themes of relationships, sexuality, motherhood, and feminism. Compared to her previous albums, Beyonce is a much darker and intimate experience. It really feels like you're peeking into Beyonce's mind when you listen to this album. I can't lie, when I first saw on social media that Beyonce had released a new album, I really thought it was a prank. I didn't think it was real, because this was something so unconventional. I'd never seen anything like this before, so it really did shake the system. Let me know where you guys were when you first heard the Beyonce album, like when you first heard that Beyonce had dropped this album randomly. When this album released, it really wasn't like any normal album rollout. You usually do singles beforehand. Beyonce said no, she dropped the full album with the music videos, and that was that. So basically, there was no prior singles to the release of Beyonce. And with that being said, Beyonce still debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts and sold 617,000 copies in just 3 days. Following its release, Beyonce would go on to receive so much critical acclaim, receive so many accolades and achievements, and I would be here all day listing them all. But on the 16th of December, Apple announced that Beyonce was the fastest selling album in iTunes history worldwide. She really changed the game when that digital dropped. After the success of her surprise Friday drop, artists began to follow suit and release new music on Fridays. Thanks to Beyonce, there was a shift in how music was released in the digital era. Like, we don't give this woman enough praise. She changed the game. Okay, we do give her enough praise, but what she did was so impressive. Stay tuned for part 2. I really love the subtle yet intentional marketing that Beyonce did during the Beyonce era. On her YouTube channel, Beyonce shared a mini-series titled Self-Titled to kind of give fans a glimpse into the creative process and how she went about creating the Beyonce album. Beyonce was working during this era. Even though she didn't do any interviews with radio shows or talk shows, she was giving performances. When Beyonce did her performance at the 2014 VMAs, I lost my mind. It was also this day where Beyonce was given the Video Vanguard Award, which was so well deserved. I remember watching this and just feeling like the love in the air and like how cute it was, where Jay-Z was giving her the award and Blue Ivy was there, and it was just such a loving moment. At this point, Beyonce was still touring, so she decided to add some of the songs from Beyonce to her set list for the Mrs. Carter show. And to further promote the album, Beyonce went on her first co-headlining stadium tour with her husband Jay-Z, the On the Run tour. Oh my gosh, the promo for this tour was insane. Like the visuals, the Bonnie and Clyde aesthetic going on. Like I loved it so much. I feel like this was such a powerful marketing move for both Jay-Z and Beyonce because it really solidified their like it couple status. Everybody was obsessed. Like the visuals that came from this, everyone was like goals and just wanted to be a part of their love story. It was cute. It was cute while it lasted. So if you aren't aware, Beyonce was initially released on iTunes only, and if you wanted to listen to the singles or the songs individually, you had to purchase the full album. This was intended so that fans could experience the album in full and listen to it completely. If you're like me, a broke 14-year-old teenager and could not afford this album, thankfully it was all released on YouTube for free. So I was having the time of my life listening to it on YouTube. As Beyonce had been the target of album leaks before, like many other artists during this time, and still now, to be honest, it was her team's way of protecting the album by releasing it like that, as much as Beyonce wanted it to be like a full experience for the fans. This album was truly a cultural reset. It coined so many phrases like pulling a Beyonce or I woke up like this. Like so many people would say these little things and you would just get it. Beyonce quite literally flipped the music industry on its head with Beyonce, and that is why it's so culturally significant and important. Stay tuned for part 3 where I'll discuss the visuals and aesthetics for this era. So when it came to the visuals and aesthetics of the Beyonce era, it's really hard to think of one word to describe it other than immaculate. When it came to discussing the music videos, Beyonce said, and I quote, "I wanted people to hear the songs with the story that's in my head." One thing you need to know about Beyonce, she has been a visual artist. From her live performances to her fashion looks, she's always intentional with everything. There were so many sides to Beyonce that we saw during this era with her music videos and visuals. There was a disco vibe, there was also a hyper, feminine, glam aesthetic, there was also the naturistic, simplistic aesthetic. It was a real raw and intimate experience for her fans and for everyone to see a different side to Beyonce. The performances during this era were insane. She really brought the vibe and aesthetic of the music videos on stage, which was incredible. This outfit matches that hyper feminine glam aesthetic that she has going on in the Pretty Hurts music video, and I just think it's perfect because every outfit during this era and every look that she wore felt very reminiscent of a music video that we'd seen. This sparkly turquoise gown is one of my favourites. It just complements her so well. What I really like about Beyonce's everyday street style or fashion is that it's very simplistic and it isn't anything too crazy, so you really feel like you can wear these outfits. And it's even more impressive when she gets on stage, does a flawless performance and pairs that with a gorgeous outfit. I really liked how Beyonce's On the Run tour looks were a nod to previous songs or albums and eras in her career, and of course the Beyonce album. There was definitely a Bonnie and Clyde vibe going on and it was just consistent throughout, and I really enjoyed that. There's just so much power in these two standing together and just touring together, performances together. Everything that they do together is just, it just gives powerful. I'm not sure if I have a favourite for the tour looks of this era, but I really do like this one. I'm not sure if this was Mrs. Carter's show or On the Run tour. It's really hard to differentiate the two as she was performing some songs from Beyonce in the European leg, but I love this look so much. So I think this one actually is my favourite. Not only is Beyonce iconic for its visuals and aesthetics, but since releasing Beyonce, it changed the way artists promoted and announced their albums. And it even changed the way artists marketed their albums, which is something that I find super interesting. With this album, Beyonce became the ultimate trendsetter that we know and love today. And she just proved that she can do whatever she wants, whenever she wanted, and we will still eat it up. Legendary behaviour, if you ask me. Remember when Beyonce was served lemons and she made lemonade? Remember that? Well, if you forgot, it's okay. I'm going to remind you. On the 23rd of April 2016, Beyonce surprise dropped her 6th studio album, Lemonade. An impressive visual album that exceeded anything that she'd ever done at that point. Following the same release style as self-titled, the day Beyonce dropped Lemonade, everyone and their mums stopped what they were doing and participated as what we know as Beyonce Day. By this point, I feel like society agreed that if Beyonce drops an album, it's a global event. The Lemonade album sees Beyonce be more transparent with her feelings than she's ever been before. Lemonade discusses heavy topics and themes such as racial politics, black womanhood, infidelity, family, motherhood, so much more. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Lemonade is so much larger than just an album, and that's why I want to talk about the cultural significance of the Lemonade era. Selling 485,000 in its first week of sales and 685,000 album units upon release, Lemonade topped the US Billboard chart at number 1. It was the highest opening week for a female act in 2016. The critically acclaimed album received so many awards and widespread praise. Lemonade was strictly released on Tidal when it first dropped, and I remember thinking, oh, here we go again. Another thing I have to sign up for, another thing I have to pay for. But I was like, you know what? It is worth it. It's Beyonce. And I don't know what it is, but I always feel like some sort of pressure. When Beyonce drops an album, I feel like so much pressure to listen to the album within like the first 24 hours. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but let me know where you were, what you were doing when Beyonce first dropped Lemonade. To promote the album, Beyonce did so many live performances, including a historic Super Bowl halftime show that is mentally ingrained in my brain forever. Like any Beyonce performance at this point, this performance had people talking about Beyonce for months. Until this day, it's still ranked as one of the best Super Bowl halftime show performances. Beyonce being Beyonce stole the show once again at the VMAs, smashing the camera on stage and just proving she is and will forever be that bitch. Beyonce also embarked on her 7th world tour. With the Formation World Tour, and it was a huge success. It even won Tour of the Year at the 2016 AMAs. Stay tuned for part 2, where I'll do a little deep dive into the impact of Lemonade on pop culture. I genuinely feel like there was a shift in pop culture when Beyonce dropped Lemonade. Like, there was before Lemonade and there was after Lemonade. And I don't know if it's just because I'm a music lover or a pop culture lover, but I just feel like a lot of things changed after this album. The way this album infiltrated pop culture, it was something I'd never seen before. Not only did it infiltrate regular pop culture related things like music, fashion, memes, Beyonce's lyrics are very memorable, but they actually turn into phrases and adjectives that we use in our everyday slang, especially like internet slang, stan culture. Like, there were so many words and phrases that were taken from this album. Fun fact, according to Red Lobster, their sales grew significantly after Beyonce's shout out in Formation. When I read that, I was so shook. Like, the impact is undeniable, guys. It's so undeniable. But the fact that it infiltrates the real world and affects people's businesses, that's insane. And still today, artists will use Lemonade as inspo for their projects. Also, if you didn't know, Lemonade is credited for reviving the concept of an album in the singles and streaming era. Just like self-titled, you could only listen to the singles and songs on the album if you bought it in its entirety. And again, this was purposeful so that people could really just indulge themselves in this project. And I'm really glad that Beyonce markets her albums this way, because her albums are real albums. They're not like those albums where you can just pick and choose a song. Like, it follows a story, it's cohesive, you have to listen to it in its entirety. When I was re-listening to this album and watching the Lemonade film, I noticed a few things about the lyrical content. And to start with, I want to talk about like the parallels between this album and the songs in this album with previous albums. Like, for example, the song 6 Inch and Partition, I feel like there's some parallels there. I don't know if it's just me, but if you watch the music video and listen to the lyrics, there's just like some very like quite distinctive parallels that I think it's important to notice or pick up on. Both kind of rolling into the scene, into the music video in cars, and with 6 inch, it's like Beyonce's on her own. With Partition, she's with her partner, Jay-Z. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being a freak, but I think that's quite significant. And I found when listening to Daddy Lessons, when she introduces it, she speaks about her father and Jay-Z in the same context. And there's obviously a very similar situation with how her mom was treated and how Beyonce was treated. This album includes so many metaphors, so many references, so many hidden messages that you cannot just listen to this body of work once. I have to put an emphasis on metaphors for the Illuminati warriors, okay? But I would be here all day if I was trying to dissect the meanings and messages behind all the lyrics and all the poetry that Beyonce speaks in this film. The way the monologue and poetry is narrated in the Lemonade film is so artistic. When I was rewatching it for this video, I was just like, I don't know, I was just filled with so much emotion. Like, she speaks with so much emotion that you just have to feel like so much empathy for her. And not just her, for women, for Black women, everything that she discusses in this film. The film also features prominent Black figures such as Serena Williams, Chloe and Halle, Zendaya, and it also includes the mothers of Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, and Michael Brown. Throughout the film, Beyonce illustrates a Black Southern aesthetic, which showcases African American culture and Black feminism. You can see that displayed especially in songs like Daddy Lessons and Formation. The visuals of this film deserved an award alone. But one thing I really noticed is that Beyonce toys with the idea of like being superhuman, with the levitating and her crazy vocal arrangements and even the sharp movements. Like, she kind of plays on that. Like, people come up with all sorts of ideas about Beyonce, but she kind of plays into that idea with how she submerges herself into water and levitates and does all these crazy things. And I find that so interesting. One thing I don't think people talk about enough is the use of elements in this film. Water, fire, air, earth. They are all used in a symbolic way to tell the story, and I think it's just super artistic. It's not the fact that she's using the elements, it's the way in which they are being used. And I think it's so artistic and creative, and I just love it. I can't explain why I love it, but I just love it. There's a lot of black and white colouring and a vintage aesthetic going on throughout this film, which is obviously very intentional as it makes viewers feel like this is a historic, timeless, and important piece of work, which it is. But it could also be interpreted as a nod to Black culture and Black history. Stay tuned for part 4. In the previous video, I was talking about how Beyonce has a vintage black and white aesthetic that feels historic and timeless. And this is showcased through the colouring of the film and the costumes and hair, lighting, all of that. Using that aesthetic could also be a reminder of how this album will definitely go down and already is going down as one of the greatest concepts in modern music history. I would love to see a version of Lemonade done in theatre, like as a play. I think that would be really cool, like seeing that live on stage. And I know the Formation tour was already so iconic, so no one can top that. But I think there's so much imagery, so much messages and messaging, in this film that it could be a whole theatre show. But it's probably not legal. Beyonce probably wouldn't even be like signing that off, but maybe something similar to that, maybe something like inspired by Lemonade. That would be cool. This beautiful gown from the Grammys is one of my favorite looks that Beyonce wore in the Lemonade era. I think she looks absolutely stunning. I love the appearance of Bump, and I just think even though this night didn't go as we had hoped, she still looked so effortlessly gorgeous. I personally think this is definitely one of Beyonce's best fashion eras. There were so many costumes of Beyonce during this time. I even dressed up as her. Like, so many Halloween costumes. People wanted to look like Beyonce because Lemonade was just an iconic time in pop culture history, so everyone was obsessed and still is. And in 2016, Beyonce won the CDFA Fashion Icon Award, as she should, because the fashion was insane. The styling, the looks, it was a lot more purposeful than we'd ever seen before in her previous eras, so I think it was definitely a well-deserved award. I don't think Beyonce herself knew the impact this album and era would have on society. I think she definitely expected some discourse to happen, but nothing of this magnitude. I think Beyonce unintentionally exceeded her own expectations and vision with the Lemonade era. I mean, she rebelled against everything everyone thought they knew about her, and she created an impactful body of work that will be studied for years to come. I'm yet to witness an era quite like Lemonade. Not only is the music exceptional, but the story Beyonce told and the way in which she told it sparked so much important conversations. Honestly, one day I hope to create some form of art that is just as compelling as Lemonade or even close, because if I can achieve that, I can rest happy. Before the release of her 7th studio album, Beyonce was working hard as ever, giving us Beachella, Homecoming documentary, Lion King film, Lion King The Gift, Black is King. I don't even know if I've mentioned everything, but Beyonce was doing so much. Being inspired by the isolation and lockdown of the COVID-19 pandemic, Beyonce began to cook something super special. She wanted her fans to feel alive again, to dance again, and to just be happy. The album, being part of a 3-act project, was recorded during the pandemic and is the perfect embodiment of joy and freedom. Unfortunately, the album did leak 2 days prior to its release, and I'm pretty sure so did her lead single Break My Soul, but it doesn't matter because, well, it does matter, but the Beehive is one of the most loyal fan bases ever, and we all refuse to listen to this album until its official release date. So when the Queen dropped Renaissance on the 29th of July 2022, everybody was listening. Renaissance is a dance album with its main genre being house music, but more specifically 1970s black dance music with a mixture of R&B, pop and disco sounds. Overall, Renaissance is an album that celebrates black queer folk, but it also explores themes of escapism, hedonism and self-expression, just to mention a few. This album is truly one of a kind. The blending and seamless transitions of each song on this album needs to be studied, like 100%. Beyonce kicked off the Renaissance era with her lead single Break My Soul, and it had everyone dancing, quitting their jobs, just being happy as ever. I remember when I first listened to this song and it instantly lifted up my mood, and I was like, yeah, whatever Beyonce's cooking, whatever's Beyonce has in store for us is going to be incredible, and as predicted, it was. Renaissance debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. It sold 121,000 copies on CD, 43,000 via digital downloads, and 26,000 on vinyl. Renaissance was also the first album by a woman to reach number 1 in 2022. This made Beyonce the first artist in history to simultaneously chart at number 1 on 23 or more Billboard charts. This is just the beginning. So as we know, Renaissance was not a surprise release like her previous albums. It was kind of a traditional album rollout. Beyonce set the scene for a new era by removing her profile picture from all her social media platforms. And on the 11th of June, Beyonce decided to troll us and had what is a B7 and 8 all over her official website. So obviously this had the fans in a tizzy, everyone was excited and everyone knew that something was coming. By now, I'm sure we all know that Beyonce does not do the traditional promo media run of TV appearances, performances, interviews, radio interviews, whatever. She doesn't do that. So the promo for this album wasn't crazy. I remember when people were like, Beyonce's not promoting her album. Like, some people were creating a problem out of Beyonce not talking about her album and stuff. But I feel like at this point in her career, Beyonce can just give us the music and ghost. Like, she doesn't even have to do a tour to promote her album. She chooses to because she loves to. But that's another conversation. Even though Beyonce doesn't do the interviews and the TV appearances, she still does promote her album by doing things like magazine covers and interviews like that, and photo shoots and partnerships, just to give us a little more insight into the conception of the album. When she graced the cover of British Vogue for the July 2022 issue, I immediately had to get it. Like, I love this cover. Like, it's so beautiful to me. It's like my prized possession, honestly. It's one of the best magazine covers that I've seen in a very long time. In the article, Beyonce describes the pandemic and the isolation the most creative period in her life. Now, in her Harper's Bazaar interview, Beyonce literally said that she feels a renaissance emerging and that she wants to be a part of that in any way possible. I honestly feel like that's who Beyonce is as an artist. Like, she doesn't want to put out music that isn't going to impact people's lives and impact culture. And that is literally what Renaissance is, in my opinion. It's a whole experience. It's a movement. Lives are being changed as I speak. And it is definitely something that will go down in history. Now, I know we still don't have the visuals, but she did give us a little taste with her Tiffany & Co. partnership and the clip of Summer Renaissance. I feel like Beyonce does these little teaser things to troll us, honestly. Because we're so thirsty for visuals, we'll just eat everything up that she gives us. Remember when I mentioned earlier on that at the start of the Renaissance era, people were complaining that Beyonce wasn't promoting her album enough and she wasn't speaking about it? She didn't need to, because she had this performance in the works, and this performance single-handedly promoted the Renaissance World Tour without Beyonce saying anything about touring. The hype that she got from this performance was insane. I feel like it almost exceeded the hype that she got from Beachella, simply because of how, first of all, her vocals are always amazing, but the run that she does on Drunk in Love, which she's now doing in the Renaissance World Tour, but this run had everybody and their mums shook. It was all over TikTok and Twitter. It had the Illuminati Warriors shook, it had the Beehive shook, it had regular people shook. No one could comprehend that this woman could put on such an amazing performance like that without even doing too much choreography, because she was recovering and still is recovering from a foot injury or surgery, correct me if I'm wrong. This was on social media for weeks. It's just another thing that Beyonce does, that she doesn't have to do any work. She literally didn't want anyone to use phones during this private concert that she was paid $24 million for. She didn't say, guys, bring your phones out, like, show this. She wanted it to be private. She didn't want anyone to see this, but we saw it, and look, I think it just confirmed for a lot of people that Beyonce is the greatest living performer of our time, and it was just another extra thing that Beyonce just did, and so effortlessly too. Like, when she's doing this run, it doesn't even feel like she's like catching a sweat at all. Like, it's just standard for her. I 100% believe it's because of this performance that I was fighting for my life to get Club Renaissance tickets. Overall, Renaissance and its songs received 9 nominations by the Grammys, including Album of the Year and Best Dance Electronic Album. Out of those 9 nominations, she won 4 in total, and this made Beyonce the most awarded person in Grammy Awards history. What a way to just kickstart an era, to really just say that I am that girl, like, I'm that girl. What a way. We're not even going to focus on the snub that was Album of the Year. We're not going to focus on that. We'll just focus on the fact that Beyonce made history in this era. Beyonce kicked off her ongoing 9th concert tour on the 10th of May 2023, so just last week. The Renaissance Stadium World Tour is her first solo concert tour since formation, and it was announced that it's on track to make over $2 billion. I keep hearing everyone saying Beyonce has a different glow on this tour. She seems happier and she's having more fun. Yeah, maybe she is. But also, maybe a big part of that happiness is the fact that she's going to have one of the highest grossing concert tours of all time and be raking it in. When Renaissance World Tour was first announced and Beyonce dropped this picture, my heart stopped. Like, it was literally a moment of so much fear and happiness all in one. I honestly do not know how I managed to get Club Renaissance tickets, but I honestly just give it all to God because I didn't know what I was doing, guys. I literally was like, I'd never felt this fear before. Oh, we're getting tickets. But I just knew that from the Dubai concert, her demand had increased even more, if that was even possible. The Renaissance World Tour is Beyonce's biggest tour yet, and it's a 3-hour concert with no opening act. How can you not respect her work ethic? Like, seriously, a 3-hour concert, doing that like every other day for over 6 months. I don't know how she does it. I really don't. Now, I think we all know at this point that Beyonce doesn't really have a budget like ever, but the Renaissance tour has exceeded any expectations of what we thought this tour would be. I don't think I even tried to even imagine what this tour would be like. I had no idea what Beyonce was gonna bring, but damn, am I super impressed and super glad that she brought this. It is already such a well-constructed tour. You can tell Beyonce and her team really thought through everything, from the costumes to the dancers, the choreography, the staging, the lighting, the visuals. Every detail is chef's kiss. I noticed that there's a few references from Beyonce's previous tours, from the Beyonce Experience and the I Am tour with the Thierry Mugler futuristic looks. The robot one that she has on the Renaissance tour is super reminiscent of the one that she was wearing on the Beyonce Experience. From what I've seen online, Renaissance tour is truly a cinematic experience. What's even more impressive is that Beyonce is changing it up with each concert. Like, the way she's interacting with fans, the way she's just dancing and her costumes, like, every show is different, and I just think that's so unique. No pun intended. And it still blows my mind that I'm going to be witnessing this in 4K real soon. This era is all about the music. I think we've all pretty much gathered that with her delaying the visuals, but Beyonce's been really sneaky and private about the visuals and music videos for this album for a reason, and I think because she's such an intentional artist, we should just trust the process. What we've seen so far from the tour and the little sneak peeks that she's given us, Renaissance is filled with mirror balls and dazzling lights and sparkles and a retro futuristic takeover. It really is just a disco-centric aesthetic, and it has so many campy looks, which I'm going to go through right now and just kind of showcase some of my favourite looks that Beyonce has sported through this era so far. For the tour, I love the bee outfit. It just complements her so well. She's the queen bee, so of course she has to wear that, and it's just definitely giving that Thierry Mugler futuristic style that I was talking about, which is reminiscent of the I Am World Tour looks, some of them, because she did collab with Thierry Mugler on that tour. I just really love how like fierce and sharp this outfit is. I can just see this whole look being recreated on the high street, and honestly I'm not mad about it because I love it so much, and I think it's just one of those outfits that you wear and everyone is like, it's making sense, you know, like everyone is looking at you, everyone's obsessed with the fit, and I want to be a part of that experience. So please, can the girlies hurry up and recreate this outfit? This look is insane. It's definitely one of my favorites. The campiness does not stop in this era. I'm obsessed with everything that Beyonce is wearing, and this one in particular, she ate that. This one is something. It low-key feels illegal to be looking at Beyonce's bum like this. Like, it's just in my face. I can't help but look, but she looks amazing. To co-create a couture collection to match her 16-track Grammy-winning album is insane to me. Beyonce just always does the unthinkable, because I personally have never ever heard of an artist or having a couture like collaboration or collection in partnership with their album. Like, that's insane to me. So if you didn't know, Beyonce actually co-created a couture collection with Balmain's creative director Olivier Rousteing. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm sorry if I butchered it. But yeah, she co-created a couture collection in this era. Renaissance Couture includes 16 pieces for each track on the album. Guys, these pieces are insanely beautiful, to say the least. This one is called Virgo's Groove, and she also wore this for a photo shoot with all her Grammys. This is Beyonce in Alien Superstar. Her mind. I can't remember which one this one is, but I think it's I'm That Girl. If it's not, please don't come for me. I can't remember. There's 16 pieces in this collection. But this one is so cool because of the spikes. Like, it's just like, whoa. You know, it's like in your face. I love fashion that is just art. And it's so campy that's why I love it, because this collection is just the perfect embodiment of the tracks on this album. By the way, this collab made Beyonce the first black woman to oversee a collection from a Parisian couture house. Does it get any more iconic? Like, she's so... I don't even think iconic is even the word anymore. Like, it's irreplaceable. It's mother. It's GOAT. It's everything. The Renaissance era shows us how Beyonce continues to grow as a person, all whilst elevating her craft. She is one of one. Say what you want, say she's overrated, say she's talked about too much, but this woman is 26 years into her career and everything she does still excites us. When Beyonce drops something, the world stops. The world stops for a second. The innovation of this era is truly insane to me. Beyonce is really in her creative bag. She's such an intentional artist with a unique vision, and it's just why she's one of the best. For me, the most exciting thing about this era is that we're watching something historic and magical happen in real time.